Welcome. It's a video about making wine. I know it's a beer channel largely, I understand that, but today it's about winemaking. I did it once before. I made wine from scratch, from actual grapes, not a kit, and it went poorly. In the video, when we tasted it, we were like, yeah, it's pretty good. A couple months later, we tried some of the bottles again. It was terrible. Tasted like sweet prune juice. The winemaker who I got the wine grapes from said, don't worry about certain things because it's your first time doing it. Just do it and see how it goes. The things he said not to worry about, I asked him about it later. He's like, oh yeah, you should probably worry about those. So this time I'm going to worry about those things, make sure I got it right, or do the best I can to make sure the parameters are set in place to get good wine. The winemaker is Angelino Wine Company, and they're in downtown Los Angeles. The first LA-based winemakers since I think about 100 years. And Jasper and Amy, the owners of it, they're both rocking it out there. I think this is their second full year in business at that location in the downtown LA area. Last year I wasn't able to get some from him because he was just starting getting bigger. This year he's a little more established, and I hit him up at the right time, and we got to go out and get some grapes. The wine grape is Grenache, Spanish grape. It's a lovely grape. You harvest it later in the year, right about now. By now for me, mid-October. Let's go back to yesterday morning, bright and early morning, 5:30 a.m. We got up, went out, drove to the winery. It's about 40 minutes north of where we live. Harvested, walked to the beautiful winery. Alonso Vineyards is the guy who owns it. He's not a winemaker, but he gives the grapes to winemakers. On my way out, instead of getting a trash can full of the grapes and crushing it with my feet, including the stems, the winemaker said, hey, why don't you, I'll just destem it and crush it for you at my winery. Come pick it up that night. I did, put it in my bin. Here we are the next day. What I do, how I make wine, how all wine I think should be made, and I think a lot of Europeans would agree with me on this, is natural fermentation. Don't be killing yeast on your wine. That's stupid. Put it in there, let the yeast that's naturally on the grape skins ferment your wine. That's what all those beautiful Burgundies do, all those Cab Francs, all those wines that you love so much, all those Italian wines. Most of them don't kill their yeast by putting potassium metabisulfite or other, I think, candum tablets, which is the same thing. That kills the yeast, and then you pitch wine yeast into your wine and it ferments it. Do not do that. I cannot stress that enough. You'll get the most mundane flavors, boring, flat, straight, yay, another wine if you do that. Natural fermentative wine, you get a lot of really cool, really crazy good flavors. Fruit, earthy, dank. You get some Brettanomyces going out of there. If it's done properly, you get a good balance of both. The natural wine movement is a big one. It's equivalent to the hazy IPA craze in beer making. It's huge right now, and some wine people hate it, and some people don't care and they love it. So the natty wine craze is basically, it's doing natural fermentation but pushing it, so you're getting over the top Brettanomyces, over the top funk, over the top weirdness. When I first started getting into more in wine, I was drawn to that big time, and now I'm kind of dialing it back, and I love a little touch of funk, a little bit of funness in the wine, not too much. We've had some wine that just smells like horse blanket, poop, baby poop diapers, and so there's a level of funk where it can be taken too far. This wine I'm going to let do its thing, let it ferment on the grape skins. He already put a little bit of sulfite in there to help sort of suppress some of the really bad bacteria getting in. I pulled off some of the must here. I'm going to take my first gravity reading in bricks, I guess for wine is what the measurement would be. So I will be finding out what Jasper and Angelino Wine, what their starting gravity was, to see if it matches mine. Let's see what mine says. So it looks to me to be about 26 bricks or so. The potential alcohol by volume is 15%. I don't know if this is fully accurate. Again, I'm gonna have to check with the winemaker and see what his bricks was. Even at 25 bricks, it's still gonna end at 15% alcohol. If it goes to 0, is my guess. I don't think I'm gonna adjust the pH, but I want to see what it is. And the way to check this pH is to use an immersion blender or some sort of blender. I actually pulled off some of the must in here with the skins and everything on it. I'm going to immersion blend it and then see what the pH is. That's the best way I've heard to do this. Alright, I'm good with that. About a 30-second thing there. That is a little high. But there we go. So let's fast forward to tomorrow and let's see what the pH is at. Here we are, same day, the end of the day. I talked to the winemaker. He said his bricks were 22.5 and his pH was 3.99. That's pretty much where I was online with. He's going to keep his bricks as is. I'm going to dilute it down a little bit. I don't like really big wines. As you know, showing at 15% alcohol, I want to dilute it down. So I did. I went and bought distilled water, put it in there. The program said to put 2 gallons in there for what I have. I only did 1.5 gallons, and I stopped, took a gravity reading, and I was at like 22 bricks. It could be a little higher. I'm waiting for it to settle down. That's showing about 13% alcohol. Maybe a little higher, 13.5, depending on where you look at. So let's now take a pH reading and see where it's at here. So it's showing 4.4 again. So I thought diluting it down might affect it a little bit. It hasn't. Great, so I'm going to add some lactic acid to this. I'm sorry, I'm not going to add lactic acid. I'm going to add tartaric acid. That is proper for wine. You can also add citric acid as well. And when I looked at the wine calculator for this at winebusiness.com, said to add, if I want to drop it, like let's say to 3.6, which is my target, maybe even 3.5. It's 10 ounces to get a 3.5, 3.6, 13 ounces to get a 3.5. I'm going to add probably less than that. Take a pH reading and see where it's at. So I'm going to add like 7 ounces now. Just start directly in. And yeah, I'll take a pH reading again. It's at 3.3. So that's probably 3.2, 3.3. 3.3 is the low end of where I want it to be. Hopefully it hits about 3.4 at all set and done. I will monitor it along the way. And we're all good though. So I'm really close to my starting bricks. I was hoping for 23 or 22.5. I got 22. My pH I was hoping for closer to 3.4, 3.6. I got 3.3. Not a big deal. I'm in the ballpark. It's still going to be a fun wine, I hope. Let's go to the next step. Welcome to the next step. We're making wine still. I've done punch downs every morning, every night. I want to keep that yeast, what do you call it? The must. The cap. I think it might be called something else. If it's called the cap, then that's what it's called. You want to press it down so it doesn't get like wild bacteria in it. That's not going to be good, which then can turn your can really contaminate your wine, turn it into like vinegar. We don't want vinegar, but we do want it to be contaminated. That's why this is here. I'm going to contaminate heavily, even more so. 2 more gallons of the wine. I pulled it off, poured it into this 10-gallon pot here. I did sanitize it. And the bricks they were at 5. So there's a little bit more to go on this. I'm putting this at the right time, I hope. I have here some wine dregs I was actually harvesting for another video, which will come out before this video does. So that's what this is. So if you haven't seen that video, I harvested wine dregs from natural wine. Here they are. I did a few of them. This is the ones I'm using. This is an orange wine here. And this is some sort of natural fermented, funky, gunky, lactobacillus riddled, Brett-filled wine. Delicious. I also have this. I don't know what it is. I think it was a pet knot. So it was a sparkling wine. So pet knots, they cut off fermentation early. The yeast stay active in the bottle and it recarbonates and you get sparkling wine. And this all that there, that gunk in the bottom is all natural yeast. Let's throw it in. So orange wine, I haven't really tasted it yet. I did bottle it today. It was slightly oxidized. This one here, that's Fidelli. A little Cheerio in the smell. Let's put it in. I'll punch down this too like I did the other one, the bigger volume I should say. And it should be done in probably another 3-4 days. I'll get the press it, and yeah, finish this puppy. So let's go to what will likely be the pressing day. It is pressing day. I had a really hard time getting a wine press. I went to the homebrew store. Theirs was broken. I texted Jasper from Angelino Wine. He said someone else is borrowing it. They were borrowing it for too long. That person said contact someone else. And that winery is Scholium Project. And they are doing really cool stuff. They're also right near Angelino Wine. And they were thankfully let me borrow their wine press. Now it's a little big. The other one I had was about half the size. I really hope that I can actually press this. Worst case scenario, I can still separate the wine from this just because the way it'll drain out either way. I just don't know how much I can squeeze out. Oh, there it is. Sloppy, messy. I'm gonna hose everything down, clean everything up. I do want to take a gravity reading and a pH reading on these, which I will be doing. Yeah, let's go to that right now after I clean up. Everything is cleaned up, and gonna take some measurements. The first one is from, I already pulled it off, a gravity reading from the main big batch of it, and it's showing, it looks like right at 0. Yeah, it looks like 0 bricks. That's what I got last time. I took a reading about 3 days ago. So that seems to be stable in that regard. I now want to take a gravity reading of what's left in this guy here. And this is the one where I, added all the extra funky stuff. And just see if it went lower. I doubt it did, but let's find out. So I'm showing the bricks to be the same for the funky one. Both at 0. I do want to take a pH reading of both of these. I squeezed some out of the regular one, the big batch one, and we'll see the pH of that is, and then compare it to the funky one. Well, they're both might be funky, but the 1 gallon one. This is the regular one first, the big batch, straight up fermentation. Again, as you saw, I over did the pH a little bit. Oh, we're not bad. So it did raise. I'm at 3.5. Now, it's possible that it would be a little bit lower than that if I did the whole blending thing, but because I'm at the phase now where I'm not going to be doing that, 3.5 is acceptable. That is really about where I want to be. Honestly, I'm actually happy with that. All right, I'm gonna test the other one, the 1 gallon one. Interesting. This one's actually a little higher. Nope, it's not. 3.5. So they're both at 3.5. Cool. Okay. Well, that's great. I'm glad the pH rose. I was very concerned about it being too low. Starting at 3.3 and raising from there a little bit through malolactic fermentation. Most likely is why that rose a little bit. And I don't know the details behind why it raises during that, but it does. And that malolactic fermentation in whites can produce sometimes that like butteriness, diacetyl, and it's just the way it converts malic acid into lactic acid, and the byproduct can be a butteriness. You don't see it too much in reds, in fact, it's very common for it to go through that. But in white wine, it can definitely change the structure of it. Chardonnay especially. This is somewhat of speculation, and I can't be too matter of fact on that, because I'm not quite as knowledgeable on wine yet as beer. I'm trying to work on it, so if I have that wrong, please comment below. That's just what what I've read. And I do want to really, really, really give a big shout out. I didn't know we had a bottle of this, but I guess we did. The Scholium projects. And I do want to give them a huge shout out because they really, really, really saved us. Us, meaning me and Sarah, because she had a lot more hands-on in this one than the last time. So this community in LA is great. It's great to be a part of, even though I don't have my own wine label. It's great that they were willing to just let me borrow that. And Jasper let me get his grapes, and it's a great community. This is all there is to it. So simple, right? I have the 6 gallon over there, and I got my 1 gallon jugs back there. Yeah, I'm gonna let them do their thing for probably about 3 or 4 days, and I'm gonna transfer off. I want all the sediment, all the gunk to kind of sink out of it, and then rack it back onto another fermenter or carboy or jug, whatever, and let it age. I was tempted to bottle this early, and that is a way to do it where it's called a nouveau. There is other things you allegedly that require you, or where it would work better in the fermenting process called carbonic maceration. And that is a process, as far as I understand it, where you put a blanket of CO2 on your grapes and you let the yeast inside the grapes kind of start first, and then you do your fermenting process. That's the basics of the carbonic maceration as far as I understand it. Nouveau is allegedly the only way that kind of works. So nouveau meaning like new. So you can have like nouveau Cab Francs and they're like bottled within a month of fermentation and drank within 2 months. So yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching and being along with the journey with me. This has been awesome. Like, subscribe, merch is below. See you next time. And stay tuned for part 2 of this. It might be a while, but it'll come out.